Good Friday, literally today, Good Friday.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Always good.
Good. You're back from your travels. We'll talk more about that in
I'm
a few
back
minutes.
from my travels, yes.
Actually, if people are watching, you're really not back from your travels. You're just traveling again in the secret, undisclosed location. But that's by choice, right? So, okay, good. Hi, everybody. My name is Darren. This over here is Victor, and we are the co-host of a podcast called DevOps Paradox that comes out on Wednesdays at 6 a.m. Eastern. Why do I say 6 a.m. Eastern? Well, number one, because that's when it comes out. Number two, this is the last show before everybody's on summertime. I hope. I think. Whether you accept summertime or not, U.S. is in, and as of Sunday, the rest of Europe will be in. Right? More or less.
Yeah, I'm a summertime denialist. It doesn't exist. It's like Turtles, right? I just limited my scope to time zones.
Okay. So anyway, thanks for hanging out with us live today if you are here. By the way, we are multi-streaming again today on YouTube and on the DevOps Paradox X channel, which I saw we had a few people over there watching. So thanks for joining us over on X. You were at KubeCon EU. The review show for that came out this past Wednesday, which we'll talk more about in a minute. Now that you've had time to sleep, what time did you wake up? Like Thursday?
First of all, when I'm away for a week, that means that I have no time to sleep when I come back, because that means that I have a week of accumulated tasks to begin with.
Right.
But yeah, I got up around noon. That's my standard wake-up time.
Right. But which day did you finally get up?
Huh?
When do you feel like you actually got home and you were back to semi-normal? Wednesday, Thursday?
Something like that. Tuesday, maybe.
Wow. Tuesday would have been pretty quick. But yes. Hi from Portugal. When is Victor visiting Portugal? Do you know?
I don't have anything scheduled. If there is some event that I can use as an excuse, and if it's in summer, I'm coming.
And if it's in summer?
Yeah, I
Always
don't
like
like traveling in winter. It's
No. Just in general. It doesn't matter, right?
Exactly. I mean, if it's Northern Hemisphere.
Right. Ingen, good to see you.
Hey.
Victor's a rock star. We'll talk more about that in a minute. And actually, let's go ahead and get to it. What was the theme of offerings in this year's KubeCon? If you haven't listened to the episode, we tell you.
Listen to it.
And it's two letters.
Actually, it's not.
It's not. What is it?
The theme of the KubeCon keynote was AI. AI, right? The theme, I haven't seen AI much, or if at all. Okay, I haven't been to talks, so I'm going to fake it a bit. But I haven't seen it among exhibitors, right? If there was one theme outside of keynotes, I would say it's platform engineering. That's two letters, P.
That's true. It is still two letters. Wasn't the two I was thinking about, though. So maybe this year is finally the year of the Linux desktop. Oh, wait, I mean platform engineering.
Yeah, I think that was the theme. That was probably the most common one, yeah.
A lot of IDPs?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that we have a lot of IDPs, because I don't think that many companies are trying to bring it all together into a single product. And by IDP, I don't mean web UI. I mean everything you need to run an internal platform. It was more like the theme was more, hey, this is important as part of IDP, right? Whatever this is.
Okay. Well, let's just go ahead and start taking a look at the things that that happened. Past 3 weeks, because we're gone for actually 2, but that means 3 weeks of podcast, was infrastructure as code and DevOps. This was with, that was just the two of us. That's right. I remember that because that was a clickbait title that I found. Okay, I said it. And then what is developer observability? We had Viran on from, I think I got it close, from Workout, which was acquired by Dynatrace, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was it? Okay, Dynatrace. And then this week we had Whitney on because she was with you in Paris, right? Yeah, Paris. I have to look at the image to know what, because the KubeCons always take a city picture and put it on there. It's like, okay, which city was it? Oh, okay, it's Paris. I want to talk more about Ingen's statement a moment ago about filling a room. Now, you talked a little bit about it on the show, but or on this week's episode. What was that like? I mean, you've done large settings before, so that wasn't really it. But what made this one different, do you think?
I don't know. I was on a stage. How do I know? I mean, I know that they had to close the door with people outside, but I honestly cannot say whether that my sessions were exception or that's how many other sessions. I can only assume it's latter. This was the most visited KubeCon, the most numerous KubeCon I think so far, right? There's a lot of people, a lot of interest. And one big significant difference is that day zero events, collocated events, were either free or very cheap and people could move around. So that was much busier than before as well.
Okay. Overall, Paris was nice, I would assume, right?
Yeah, weather was great. The last day was horrible, but apart from that, it was nice weather, nice city.
Good. Yeah, as Raj says here, 12,000. That's a lot of people.
Yes, it is.
It's a lot of people. A couple of items that came out either right before or during that I want to talk about. Flux Project gains new corporate support. So GitLab announced continuing support for Flux. Then also it's going to be the GitOps engine still for Microsoft and AWS. I mean, new enterprise adopters. I've never heard of the Silver project before, but I've seen
enterprise support. That's with Container Solutions, right, or something like that.
Yeah, I believe that gets down to control plane.
No, control plane. Not exactly. Yeah. Yes.
So Flux lives another day. Is that the way you think about it?
Very good. And it deserves. It's a great project.
Okay, so congrats to everybody working on Flux. Should be interesting.
It's very, to me, those stories like Flux are very encouraging. That there is a project that was largely dependent on a single company. That company went bankrupt, and the project continues thriving. That's a very, very positive story to me.
Okay, Ingen already called it out. Before I ask, okay, so what is a German coffee roaster needing to use Flux for?
Everybody has some software now.
Yeah, but wouldn't you just give that to Shopify as a roaster? Okay, maybe not.
I don't know. Are they kind of like a chain of coffee shops? If it's a chain, then they have computers. They do bills. I don't know.
Okay. Anyway, and then the other things I saw, or the other big thing I saw, was OpenTelemetry announcing support for profiling, which I thought was interesting. Logs, metrics, traces, all in varying levels of. So metrics is like as GA can get, right? From an OpenTelemetry perspective.
Yes, that's where it started. That's the thing that moved first.
And then logs are right behind it, and then traces. And those, to me, are still. I think logs is probably close to, in my opinion, done. Traces are still getting there, right?
In OpenTelemetry, there are two components, right? The specification itself, but also the support you get from different libraries. Telemetry probably you will not be implementing yourself, so that's kind of easier. But then logs, right? That largely depends, or traces actually as well. That depends on your application, right? To be more precise on the code you use to write your application, whether that code has a library that supports OpenTelemetry format for that something, and so on and so forth.
Yep. So cool about OpenTelemetry. And I saw one other interesting. So this was it. These were the two big things, Flux and OpenTelemetry. I didn't see anything else worth mentioning in all the news that was coming out, or the lack of news coming out from KubeCon. I didn't see a lot this year compared to previous years.
You probably saw more than me, to be honest. I'm known not to go to talks when especially in KubeCon, because I'm too busy. But this year, I probably haven't spent more than few hours in total in the expo area, in the hallway track, right? Not even that. It was so busy and so many things happening that it was exceptional, really. I mean, unexceptional in terms that I have no idea what happened, right? Kind of, that's how busy it was, right?
And also you signing a book and people telling you to get rid of the line. It's like,
The funniest moment of signing the book was when I ordered my CEO, man, if you want me to continue doing this, bring me a beer.
okay. Something related to OpenTelemetry. This came out from, from Grafana Labs, an OpenTelemetry backend in a container image. It's a container image, not a Docker image. Introducing Grafana otel-lgtm. So basically, it spins it up and it has everything in it that you need. How do you like that?
Nice. Nice.
So then you can actually test it. Think of this as good integration testing, in my opinion. And then you can see some dashboards and blah, blah, blah. So thanks, Grafana. We appreciate that.
Nice.
Okay. Then the big news of this past week or week before last, Redis has now gone dual source licensing. Yet another one, but I'm surprised it took this long, actually. Because you think about it, I know AWS has their own Redis compliant product or service. I'm not sure about GCP or Azure. It was bound to happen. Let's just put it that way.
Exactly. I mean, let's face it, if database businesses, if they did not expect all the databases to be available in hyperscalers, they were terribly wrong, right? That was inevitable. What do hyperscalers do? They give you networking, storage, virtual machines, and databases. That's the base of every hyperscaler, right?
That's what I think. So anyway, again, I'm going to just stick with our standard line, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. Good on Redis. They got to make money. I got no problems with this. Now, I did see that a consortium, let me see if I can find it live here. It is Valkey Redis. This one, was it Valkey? Let's see. There we go.
Exactly.
But okay, so number one, it's not by the Linux Foundation. It is a because it's Amazon, Google, Oracle, Ericsson, and Snap, which is Snapchat. So effectively Meta are the founding members backing the effort under the Linux Foundation. Some people were saying, oh, it's the Linux Foundation that forked it. Linux Foundation doesn't fork anything. They don't, right? That's not what they do. But this is a pretty good stack. And in fact, these are, how can I say it, normal people to see when these kinds of things happen. They tend to align. The frenemies tend to align.
Exactly. And, it also depends on from which perspective you look at it, right? When companies like, in this case, Redis, get threatened by other companies that threaten their business, right? That's very dangerous territory and complicated for them as a company, but not necessarily for them as a project, right? Because, hey, for us as users of something, the more companies contribute to that project, the better it is for us, right? Actually, it's actually a relatively bad idea when the project itself depends only on a single company, right? Then we are, from the open source perspective, then we are in a bad position. But now, they can change the license and others can fork it, and we'll see who will put more effort into it. And for us as users, that's good news, right? It's more competition. Excellent. Go for it.
Case in point, Kubernetes. Now, a little bit different, but the rest of your story matters, right? It's Google is the one open sourced it, but then everybody else joined in.
The major thing with Kubernetes is that it started receiving serious contributions from multiple companies long before it became big, right? So it was at the very beginning in the hands of Google, but actually almost at the very start, it was a project backed by multiple companies, right? So nobody really owns it, and nobody can change really the license. And even if somebody changes the license, that's one out of many. So things like that would be very hard to imagine is something in Kubernetes, simply because it has a very different life, right? Life that does not depend on any single company.
Yeah.
Now, as a company that forms on top of open source, and we both work or worked in such companies, right? That's a very different situation when you have a project that says, okay, we are behind this project, right? This one company is behind this project for years, and then AWS swoops in, and that's very dangerous for us, but not necessarily for the project, and yada yada, right?
Yep. And as Raj says here, at the end of the day, everyone can fork, but somebody needs to fund the engineers.
Exactly.
So, and with Amazon and Google and Ericsson and Snap, there's a lot of cash there.
As the situation is right now, I was more negative before than now, but I wouldn't be surprised if actually OpenTofu ends up being Jenkins and Terraform ends up being Hudson. I wouldn't be surprised that that's how it will turn at the end.
Well, I did see a post this week throughout all this brouhaha from our friend Andrew, who was around when the Jenkins and Hudson thing happened. And he corrected me again this week. Jenkins was not a fork of Hudson. Jenkins was just a rename because everything stayed the same. I mean, effectively it was quote unquote a fork, but the story is very interesting. I'll have to find the post to clarify it again. But anyway, again, I've got no ill will towards Redis on this. I think it makes a ton of sense. If the company needs to exist, they've got to do something. So this story is very similar, going back to, in fact, we saw it if you were paying attention to the search. It's AWS, Elasticache, Redis. That's one of the flavors there. Same thing as what happened with Elasticsearch. Then it got, at that specific commit right before the license changed, that's where AWS picked up and went with OpenSearch. And that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's move on from less happy things. Let's go to a couple of more happy things.
Less happy. From less happy things. Okay.
Yeah, from to yeah, I messed up my direction of words. Building a video analysis and transcription chatbot with a GenAI stack. This is from Docker. Most people won't care about this, but you and I sort of care about this. They walk you through and give you a Docker Compose file. So you need to have a Pinecone account, an OpenAI account, and then run Docker. And you spin it up, and what you can do is you can point it at a video, and it will download everything and give you information. So you can
information about the video. Okay.
About the video. Yeah, you can actually interact with the video. It's doing a transcription of the video.
But I'm getting confused here. It's running locally, right?
Running locally, yeah.
But why do you need OpenAI?
Because it's going to transcribe. So the Whisper. Let's go back up to the diagram. Whisper is running locally.
Okay.
Right. This Pinecone is running locally for the RAG. Mm-hmm. But then, actually, is it?
No.
Saving embeddings, right? So YT Whisper is running completely locally. And then you go off to OpenAI to do the stuff. So Whisper's the only thing truly local, plus the app, whatever the app is inside. It's a little app, I guess, right?
It's still very confusing.
Oh, a Docker bot. Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah. I mean, the confusing part for me is I understand why somebody would use a service, SaaS, AI, something. I understand why somebody would run it locally. I'm not sure I grasp the situation when I want something local and something remote. That's still confusing to me, but yeah. I will blame me on this one, right?
For this particular one, I think this is just a more proof of concept. Here's how a way you could do it if you wanted to do something like this yourself.
Okay.
That's how I feel about it. I mean, this isn't
Yeah.
obviously a product, but it's just like here. And why we're doing this? Well, it's from Docker, and we're using Docker Compose, and it's nice and simple. So I thought this was interesting, but then there was a follow-on that came out from GitLab this week, how to detect secrets in video content. Not that you ever put a secret in a video content, have you?
You have no idea how many times I had to return the video and said, this thing here needs to be blurred.
Yeah. So this walks you through a way of dealing with it from OCR perspective and blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to go into this one at all, but it was just an interesting post. How to detect secrets in video content. Because, okay, that's part of what we do. All right, now let's get on from video sadness. Let's go back to a couple of tools. I saw this one this week, KFTray, or just Tray. It's handling multiple kubectl port forwards from Tray. So you can install it and manage all your port forwarding in a nice little UI. There's other tools that do this, right? Nothing special about it. Let's put it that way. It may be special, but I'm saying there are other tools that do this today.
I actually like it. And I'm a terminal guy, right? But
Yeah.
I'm sick of running port forward in a background in my terminal while and then keeps popping up with messages and things like that. That's nice.
Well, to me, this is sort of like what you would use with either a VPN client or TwinGate or whatever, right? That you've got this little thing that's going to manage that for you. And if you're not using it, shut it down. That kind of thing. So this is Tray or KFTray. I'm not sure which, because they say Tray, but then they say KFTray. It's like, okay, whatever. Small.
We get confused
Sometimes. Okay. A couple of other tools. I actually do have a couple of AI things at the end. I don't know that we're going to get into it, but
Wait. What do you mean at the end? You had things at the beginning.
did I?
What was the Docker thing, Ian?
Oh,
What's
yeah,
the
that's true.
GitLab
Yeah,
thing?
but that was okay. Yeah, but that's not real. Okay. TermVideo. Do you want to watch be rickrolled in your terminal? Now you can. A terminal video player written in Go that will help you play favorite videos in a terminal.
I love this already.
It's not completely done yet. It's early days, but yeah, you can watch videos in your terminal because you can. That's the way I look at it.
I'm gonna. I already know where I'm going to put it. I have in the application I have in terminal application that I use for videos and stuff that request stuff from Azure OpenAI, right? I have a silly icon that goes in a circle or something like that. You know, waiting. It usually takes 15 seconds. I'm gonna change it to play a video. It's gonna be awesome.
Okay. Okay. Look what we have here. KFTray creator here. I've been following Victor for a while and see you guys talking about the project. Really cool. Very cool.
Very cool.
We should, I'm going to try this. Enrique, please forgive me if I messed up. Does that seem right?
I would say Enrique.
Is it Enrique? Enrique. Sorry.
I'm guessing. I don't know.
Reach out to me in the Slack workspace and we're going to get you on the podcast to talk about it.
Let's do it. Yeah.
I'll be more than happy to do that. So reach out to me in the Slack workspace. Obviously not right now because I don't have it running in. I'll deal with that later. Okay, cool. Aloha Kona. Boy, it is a super great day. What time? Hey, aloha Kona.
It's easy for somebody living in Hawaii to say it's a great day because it's every day is a great day over there, right?
Yes, aloha Kona. What time is it right now where you are? Post that over in the chat. Sorry, because I can manage going forward because I'm always thinking Europe, but I don't think West Coast. Like once it gets beyond west of California, I can't keep track.
The world doesn't exist. Darren is another flat earther. There is nothing to that side.
7:24.
Go further left.
Okay, so he's okay. So he is 6 hours behind me. So that means he's 11 hours behind you, getting ready to be 12 hours.
Yeah,
behind
something
you.
like that. 11 or 12 hours.
It's 12.
Yep.
So it will be 12 starting Sunday for you. Okay, good. All right. Now I can sort of understand in the world where I am. Okay. Anyway, back to TermVideo. Thanks. Okay. Powerpipe, let me pull this back up, sorry, is dashboards and benchmarks as code. And I thought this was interesting. I haven't played with any of these this week. I haven't had time. Use it to visualize any data source, run compliance, benchmarks, blah, blah, blah. Okay. There's over 5,000 open source controls from CIS, NIST, PCI, HIPAA, blah, blah, blah. Okay. You can run it on your machine or as part of your deployment pipeline, which I thought was interesting. Relationship diagrams, blah, 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 and more and more and more. And there's a whole demo you can see here. The install, macOS.
Hey, why do you put somebody from sales in a demo? Come on. Look at the suit. I don't trust this person.
I didn't even notice that before. It is AGPL, so there's a company behind it, and okay, whatever. But if you're trying to figure it out, and actually, let me just go to the site because the site was okay. This browser, okay, there we go. Dashboards for DevOps. See, he doesn't have a suit on this time.
better, exactly. Improvement, excellent.
So there's dashboards for DevOps, lots of integrations, all sorts of other things. So just. It looked interesting to me. Yeah. Well, to me, what triggered it for me was as code. Right. That's why it, last thing I want is more dashboards. But now as code is like, oh, okay. Okay, are you ready for some as code here, Victor?
Yeah, go for it.
I saw this from AWS, specifically AWS Labs. Diagrams as code. So now you can diagram through YAML to generate your AWS drawings.
Nice. But why does it have to be AWS?
Well, it's from AWS Labs.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
Right. And they're making it specific to them. Now, we've seen, I can't remember that. Mermaid doesn't do the different vendors, but we've seen different variations of this. But this one's specifically or explicitly from them. I don't know why I would care about it being CI/CD friendly, but let's take a look at an example template just because we can. Let's look at, which one do we want to look at? How about VPC NAT Gateway? That one sounds. Okay, so there's the diagram, definition files, resources, and then you define what the type is. Boy, this feels very CloudFormation-y.
Exactly.
But nicer.
Here's my question. Shouldn't when I start writing diagrams specific to something like AWS, in something like this, shouldn't this eventually end up being the code that I use to create those things?
It would make sense, wouldn't it?
Right? I mean, of course, I would need to add more things to it.
Yeah.
But this is a start. I imagine the flow in which I start first, kind of, VPC subnet, this or that, maybe put some names and regions and a couple of things. And cool, that's a diagram. I like it now. Let me add the things that are missing to that same thing. Continues being a diagram, but I just continue working until eventually I get infrastructure as code. Right? I cannot imagine the world in which diagrams and infrastructure as code, diagrams as code and infrastructure as code should not be the same thing.
They should be the same thing.
So what I'm really looking for then is take whichever poison you like, Terraform, Crossplane in my case, Pulumi, and just create diagrams from that.
Did you hear that, Ingen? It's a race now.
Ingen, I want Pulumi code into diagrams, CLI.
You're right, though. I hadn't thought about that, but that makes too much sense, right? Whatever the code is, I should be able to visualize that.
Because you just said it, right? This looks like CloudFormation, right?
Yeah. I mean,
why
a
would
nicer
I kind of write it twice?
Yeah. It makes too much sense. Time for the PRs to be opened up. That's what I'm hearing, right?
There you go.
Okay, not by me. Yeah, Ingen, good. All right, Ingen squared away. So you'll talk to Joe and make sure this happens next week, right? Just making sure.
Yeah, you have until Friday.
Okay. Well, actually, I'm glad you brought that up. Next Friday, we're not here. We have.
Oh, Are you doing that only so that Engin has more time to work on it?
Sure.
Is
I'm fine
that
with
only
that.
sort of to giving him a slack? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's fine. That's fine. Going from diagrams to the latest project from Charm called Freeze.
Okay. Of code and terminal. I mean, I'm always so curious about what they do. What is
Yep.
this? PNG SVG or webps of code and terminal output.
So you can execute a command. It's going to create either an SVG, PNG, or a JPEG, I think. You can specify it. So you can either run a command and have it output, or you could have it, just feed it, this is a Haskell file, and have it go ahead and print out an image for you of just
Image
that
of
thing.
code itself.
Yeah.
Why would I-
Colored, bordered, everything else.
Why would I do that? This is the first time I'm asking Char, why would anybody do this?
Well, if you needed to, let's go back to your running your readmes as code, right? So
You know, when I see a blog post that puts code as an image, I stop reading out of revolt.
I understand. I understand. But if I needed to burn it into a, I don't know. There could be any number of places where. Anyway, it's from Charm, so I had to bring it up. It looks interesting. I did play with it some, and I haven't played with it enough to figure out, because I've been doing things with VHS, and I've also been doing things with, what's their other one that I'm drawing a blank on? Anyway.
What Engin is saying, that makes sense. If you're PowerPoint person or whatever is the Apple thing, a keynote, and you want to show some code without doing a demo, right? Just on a slide, fair enough. Makes sense.
Okay. So anyway, that's Freeze. And it just came out. I think was there a new one today? 3 weeks ago. 3 days ago. Okay. Yeah, there was a small bug. Lots of videos from you over the past few weeks. We won't go into all of them. Dev Portal should be dumb. Yes.
Yes. This one generated a lot of hate comments, but nice. I like
good.
those. Exactly.
A handful of Crossplane items. I couldn't figure this one out. Was this one actually a Crossplane video, or was this just a normal toolkit video?
No, it was a normal video that happened to use Crossplane,
Crossplane
but
with
it
it,
wasn't directly Crossplane, more kind of trying to figure out how do we deal with secrets, and then I use Crossplane as example rather than some kind of showcase of Crossplane.
Right. And then you went into this one, the configuration that started playing automatically.
That's the second to last, yes.
Second to last. And then finally, speaking of last, Pickle this week. I can't believe you actually seem to like Pickle.
I liked it. I liked it a lot. But I made a hard requirement on myself. There are up to 2 configuration data structure languages I'm going to use actively. And Pickle became one of those 2, Pickle and Q. And then around yesterday, it stopped being one of those 2. I'm replacing it with another one, but that's a video for a few weeks from now.
But you still like it.
I still like it. Yes. It's not anymore. It's not my favorite, but it's very close to the top.
Okay. And then we only had one, Misfits, during this time, and you and Whitney tried to do a live stream. In fact, you did a live stream, but it didn't actually save.
Yeah, Wi-Fi from a conference. Can you imagine that?
Yeah. Which is why we're not doing a show next Friday. Just to end it up. How much more so are you done with this season now?
No, there is that last episode that we tried to do at KubeCon. We did it for the people at KubeCon, but we did not stream successfully. We'll do the stream next Tuesday.
Right. And then
we're done for this season. We're going to start a new one soon. I don't know when actually, but the goal is to finish before the next KubeCon. It will be about observability, and we plan to talk about it in Salt Lake City. And part of that, we're going to present it in Salt Lake City is to do all the episodes before that happens.
Right. And when you say the next KubeCon, there's actually one KubeCon between now and Salt Lake, right? There's one before Salt Lake and one after. Was it China, Salt Lake, and then India?
I'm not sure what is the order, but there is Salt Lake Europe, 2 big ones, and then India and China, 2 smaller mini KubeCons, something like that.
Okay. Again, your terminal. By the way, these last 5 videos, 6 videos, I'll lost count now, all over on youtube.com/DevOps Toolkit, which is our sister channel. That's Victor's channel. Did you see GitHub CoPilot is now available in the GH CLI?
No, I didn't. Haven't seen that.
That came out last week. So now you can. It only carries 2 commands. It has suggest and it has explain. That's all it does right now from the command line.
Nice.
But maybe that's all that you need, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's not a big change for me because I do run a terminal in VS Code and I do have a Copilot over there. But when I switch to type in a terminal, it might be easier to kind of just have another command instead of switching to the prompt of, on the other side.
Yep. So you have to install it as an extension. So that's the key part to this. It's like, I was checking, it's like, wait, it's not showing up in a command. Why isn't it working? Then I finally read the docs, read the manual, install the extension, and then off you go.
You know what I would like?
What?
Is GH Copilot explain without any prompt text to refer to the previous command and the output of that command.
Well, just pipe it in.
I would like that very much.
Just redirect it into it. So just say GH Copilot explain, redirect into that, and then whatever the command is.
True.
But you want it to look back in
what
history.
I'm saying, I just execute a command, right? I did not plan to have to explain it. I just did this. This happened. And of course, I can repeat that. I can, of course. But if I don't have to, then why not, right? Explain what just happened, right?
Because the terminal is not going to have the context for that, right? Because that's done. So it'd have to scrape.
Yeah, but it could run in the background or something like that, right? To kind of capture what I'm doing. I mean, ZSH already has keys to these commands.
It's true.
That's already available. It's not the output of that command is not necessarily available, but it could run it again in the background. I don't know, something. It's possible. I'm sure it's possible.
Oh,
right? It can be done.
Yeah. Okay. So that's, I imagine you'll be installing this later tonight. Probably not. Last tool of the day. Remember we were talking about Crew AI a while back? I feel it's probably a couple months now. Well, here's one called GPT Script. I saw Dan Lawrence from ChainGuard post about this today. And what they're doing, I'll look it up in just a second so we can see the context of this. But this appears to be very similar to Crew AI, except I don't have to write stinking Python.
Yeah, is that the one where you actually write scripts basically in natural language, right?
Yep.
Or am I mixing it
Yep,
with
no.
yes?
So
Yeah, exactly.
Here's the example here. There's some built-in tools, so download, exec, remove, blah, blah, blah. And then you write what you want done. So download this zip file to a random file, expand it, inspect the schema, then run a form and run a query to the blah, blah, blah. Then you run the script and you get output.
I'm a bit skeptical. So here's the thing, right?
Okay.
There are 2 scenarios. And can you keep that example there?
Yep.
There are 2 scenarios, right? I know sysdownload and sysexec and whatever it's putting there, right? And I know where to download SQLite tutorial from. This example assumes that I know all those things. And if I do, I'm more comfortable already writing exact commands of what I want, right?
Agreed. Yep.
Kind of, it would need to be geared towards, I don't really know how to do these things. Just do it for me, right?
Right.
The example would need to be to assume lower knowledge, I feel, for that to be useful.
I do agree. I'm trying to find the context here. Anyway, what ChainGuard's using it for is to explain the failure that happened during the build and attaching that as a comment. They're using GitHub Actions. So then what happens is if it fails, the action, then they're going to put the comment, and it explains in the comment what to do next. like how to resolve the issue. So like this one is beyond trivial, right? Not a big deal. Let's take a look at one of the examples. Because it was the example, was it plan a vacation? Yeah, let's look at this one. So plan a vacation, which is one of the examples from Crew AI, right? Is how to plan a vacation. So you have a travel agent tool, plan a vacation. That's the name of the tool. So you write out everything that you want and do all the things, download whatever. But what was interesting to me was not so much this. I mean, this is interesting. Don't get me wrong. But what was more interesting to me was the example that was below this, I think. And it only in theory, it only works with OpenAI. But since Ollama has an OpenAI compatible endpoint, in theory, it would work with Ollama. But again, I haven't tried it yet.
Actually, just before this show, Azure, I got a notification from Azure now. It has like 50, 60, 70 models included there in OpenAI.
And this one also
Ollama.
supports Azure OpenAI as well.
Yeah.
So technically, from an official standpoint, OpenAI and Azure OpenAI. Here's the example I want to show. Is you can actually have it run scripts for you as well. So you don't have to just do it natural language. This is what you're sort of talking about. Earlier, it's like, okay, if I'm already familiar with this thing, I can just write the code for it. So why not just write the code? So this is more, again, it goes back to the basics of what they say here. To automate interactions, blah, blah, blah. Ultimate goal is to create a natural language programming experience. That's what they're trying to do. Crew AI is not natural language programming.
No.
It's Python. And that's okay, right? That's fine.
And I think I don't feel that I will personally ever jump on natural language programming experience because I'm proficient in non-natural language programming experience already. But I think it's very useful for the rest of the world, right? Or potentially for me as well, for the areas I'm really not into, right? Kind of. This needs to be done somehow in other ways than I'm proficient in, right?
Yep. I want to look at this vision image. What does it do here? Vision image audio. Vision image, but they don't say anything about audio. Come on. Here's an example of a web app that leverages GPT to recognize ingredients in a photo and suggest a recipe. Okay, let's look at this one because this is the one that looks for me. And again, I saw your post there. I'm going to take a look at it in a minute. There's a little bit of Python, which is fine. So here's the recipe. So use sysfind, read, write, recipe generator, which is down here, and then pulling in vision. Oh, that's interesting. So give me a list of ingredients from the pictures named with good grief. For each picture analyzed, write ingredients, and then do that. Holy cow. I mean, this makes sense, right, compared to what I would have to do in Crew AI. Nothing against Crew AI, but holy cow. And I guess the thing that it's flying in, going back to this, whatever this include is here, that's probably, where am I at? So if I was to go over to Vision, sorry, we have a minute. And I have the go live button, so we're going to stay here for a second. Yeah, that's the Node app. So it's going to figure out how to do that. I have to admit, this feels, you use Task, right? You don't use it all the time, but this feels very Task-like.
Yeah, exactly.
This feels very, very, which even lighter
natural
than what Task
language
is.
task.
Yeah. This is interesting. I want to go back over here real quick. Raj, we'll come back to your question. Invite Darren Shepard. Okay, so from Acorn, Ingen, let me ask you this. Is the Acorn you're talking about, hang on. Is the Acorn you're talking about the same Acorn that's at the bottom of this page? Acorn Labs?
Yes, Darren Shepard is from Acorn Labs, exactly.
Do you know him?
I'm terrible with probably, I don't know.
Ingan, if you know him, do an introduction for me. Email me and copy him because we'll get him on. Because this is what they dropped their Kate's runtime for GPT Script, which is what this is. Okay, yeah, if you know him, do an introduction for me, please. I'd appreciate that. Let's go back to... So anyway, I think this is cool. Like, I've got too many other things going on in my head right now. And so I can't focus on this, but whereas I was wanting to get into Crew AI, but the stumbling block for me was getting back into Python, which isn't that big of a deal, but it was going to be real code. This, taking a look at an example again, taking a look at, I lost it. Where is it? Vacations. Oh, heck, I'll stay with recipe generator. Taking a look at, not that, taking a look at that. I feel like I could handle this without as much friction. Just in my head, it seems, because then I'm not, do I want to use Node? Do I want to use any of the other? I could use PHP. I could use Perl. I could use Python. I could use JBang, which is JavaScripting. I could use Groovy straight up. All the scripting languages are now available to me, or just Bash, right? It's like if I had a CLI, I could, make it make sense.
I feel like later on, fast forward a bit, right? That I would like this without the tools section.
Meaning not needing even to define it? You have to define tools though, right?
Why?
Could you... Okay, let me go with your thought for a second.
But isn't that the point of intelligence?
It is. So let's assume this for a moment. Let's say I wrote all this without tools. And it figured out everything but, let's say this last one, this vision one. Right? Now, this is sort of a bad one to say, right? Because it's within the namespace of GPT Script AI. Right? So in theory, it's like, okay, you're asking me to analyze a picture. Okay, within the GPT Script AI family, there's already a vision thing, so I'm going to go use that. Right? It should be able to figure that kind of thing out. But if it's something that I wrote specifically, that seems like it's something that I would need to import, define. Right?
Yeah, no. So I look at it more like, imagine that, forget about artificial part of it, right?
Yeah.
It's a junior developer, right? And I just gave him these instructions, or her.
Right.
Perform the following steps in order, blah, 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 blah. Those are my instructions, right?
Yeah.
Go figure it out. Now, that person might, hey, you know what? I think I should do this with this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can say, yeah, go for it. Kind of like, fine. Or don't.
Yeah.
I prefer this, right?
Yeah.
We can have that interaction. But I would like it to just kind of like
Figure it out.
Figure it out. And we can course correct, right? Kind of like we can maybe teach each other, okay, you know what? In the future, please don't do this. Please don't.
Right.
Kind of like have some kind of a memory and kind of like, okay, Victor really gets pissed when you do this. That's fine.
But see, that's the problem is I don't know how you would have memory with this.
You have to somehow, because otherwise,
that's the tools definition line, though. That's the memory, is you've defined it.
Yeah, store it internally in some cache. Excellent. Kind of like that's why we have dot something something, right? Where we store things.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. But that means if I move it to a different machine, then I've got to start over again.
Okay. Then we talk about cloud, or you copying stuff.
Syncing.
Right. Kind of like.
That's interesting.
I'm not complaining, and this looks amazing. Just to be clear, it kind of.
Yeah.
Let's think a bit forward, right? If you want natural language, then maybe sys.find is something that I honestly don't know what is sys.find. Let's start with that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably something that every Python programmer knows. I don't. So how do I now use natural language?
Right. Well, they were talking about. Let's see if I can find it again. There's the tool definitions. That's not what I want. Tool parameters, not what I want. Built-in tools. So if I had it installed, I could list the tools that are already available. So it can do these things. So you have to list it. They actually don't show it.
But that makes it even. I feel that's argument. That's in favor of my argument. Okay, so if you
Yeah.
already have the list of tools, and it shouldn't be that hard to know what those for the GPT script to know what those tools do.
Right.
Kind
For
of,
the sys, the sys one's specific.
yeah, kind of
right?
like sys, for example. I'm guessing again. I'm not Python person, but I'm guessing that sys write it somewhere and this or that, right?
Yeah.
So kind of like you already know what you listed the tools. You know what the tools do. Why do I need to tell you to use sysfind to find something if the sysfind is the tool that you already have in your list of tools?
Yep. Like for me, just taking a look at this, so I would expect all of these to go away, right?
Recipe generator. Okay, cool.
No,
kind of like
no, it's not because it's in the same file. So if,
okay,
Right.
I misunderstood that part. But
Yeah.
okay, I might say, hey, but also use Google. It's not in
Yeah.
your list of tools or whatever, right? Kind of
Yeah.
like I'm giving you additional information, but let's start with the assumption that what you already know is what you know.
we could go down the rabbit hole on this, and we didn't we have Acorn in the past? I don't. Not on the podcast. You
I
may have-
did explore Acorn in one of the videos. Yes.
yeah, but not on the podcast because it'd
No,
be interesting
not
to
on the
talk about
podcast.
this. Okay. Okay. I think that's it for today. Because now my head is spinning. It's like, dang. I wonder if I can get it to. We'll try that out. Sorry, I'm having conversations with myself, and I'm actually here with you that I should be paying
That's
attention to.
age. That's okay.
It is age. It is age. So anyway, we will not be here next week. Victor, I'll say it, Victor's traveling next week, so we're not gonna be.
It's always my fault.
Well, you're going to be in a hotel, and hotel Wi-Fi I think is worse than conference Wi-Fi. Maybe not.
Unreliable, true.
Yeah. So it's like it'll give me a week to get caught up on podcasts, which I'm still editing. By the way, the podcast is coming out next Wednesday. You're going to want to listen to. Have not completed it yet, but we are talking with the guy that's in charge of platform engineering-ish at Adobe. And you'll want to hear how things actually work in real life at Adobe.
No, I thought we already released that one.
No.
That's a good one.
No, that comes out. That will come out next Wednesday
With Joseph, right?
with Joseph. Correct. Joseph Sandoval is his last
Yes.
name. Sandoval.
Nice.
So I think that's it. And then we should be back the week after that and be in a normal schedule until Victor goes off onto his normal conferences every day of the week, I think. Is that usually how your job goes? I don't remember anymore.
It goes in waves. I was like 5 months, 0 conferences. Now I'm
Yeah.
back. I'll
Sort of.
stop sometime.
Have you started? Okay, so last year or at the end of last year until basically right before Paris, you were on a non-travel sabbatical for work.
Yes.
Have you already set that up for this coming year?
No, I don't make long-term decisions. It will just happen.
Everybody remind Victor in October, you need to take off from December through March again. December
Something like
until
Probably
KubeCon.
after. If I'm starting now with KubeCon, then it would only make sense to end with KubeCon as well.
right. So if you were to
Whichever one is Salt Lake City or Hong Kong. or
Salt Lake
whatever
is
it is.
October, November, and then India is December-ish, I think.
There we go. End with
that's it.
India.
Yeah.
Start again with London.
Thank you, Ingun. I appreciate that. Okay. So anyway, again, off next week. Listen to the podcast next week, though, on Wednesday with Joseph. It's all my podcast episodes are my favorites. That's not true. Sometimes the ones that you and I do aren't always my favorite, but they're okay. But from a guest perspective, Joseph has been probably one of my favorite guests. Just because
That was an
getting
awesome
on the
one, yeah.
inside of Adobe and hearing how things actually work, that's pretty amazing. By the way,
Yeah.
there's Kubernetes involved. We'll just leave it at that.
There's Kubernetes everywhere now.
There's Kubernetes.
Show me a company that doesn't have Kubernetes these days. In some capacity. In some capacity.
All right. Thanks, everybody. And we will see you again in 2 weeks.